Man, I'm so excited to check out the original 360 version of this game. I mean, who knows what surprises await us here. Wait, what is that? Oh god. Today's game is a big one, the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, 14 years old this year, and tragically, Bethesda's most recent mainline entry in the Elder Scrolls series. Skyrim still thrives on PC with mods to this day. It's playable on all modern platforms, but how well can this vanilla version of a notoriously buggy release run on a console from 2005? I think you'll be surprised, so stick around. Let's take a quick look at my physical copy, then we'll get right into the gameplay. Alright, let's get into it.
In their tongue, he is Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
Skyrim is Bethesda Game Studios' most successful mainline entry in the Elder Scrolls franchise, releasing in 2011 on Windows 360 and PS3 to extreme critical and commercial success. The joke nowadays is that there's a version of Skyrim for every platform, including your refrigerator. But the original vanilla release of Skyrim was plagued with game-breaking bugs and glitches that rendered the game hilariously broken, but also sometimes infuriatingly unplayable. We're going to see if that's an issue here, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start at the beginning. If you like nostalgic content, please consider subscribing. We're aiming at 1,000 subscribers right now, and any help is appreciated. Also, check the playlist in the description below for more. The story opens with us in a horse-drawn cart, jolting along a cobbled path towards an Imperial Legion keep called Helgen, with a captive and bound rebel leader, Ulfric Stormcloak. It becomes clear pretty quick that this trip does not bode well for us. We arrive at Helgen, customize our character, and are swiftly beheaded. And that's the game, short and sweet. Just kidding, our beheading is interrupted when this happens.
Big video game.
What in oblivion is that?
Sentry, what do you see?
Who's laughing now? Yes, I was in the chess club.
We escape Helgen, head to a town called Whiterun to speak with our beloved, Jarl Balgruuf, about dragons, fight off yet another conveniently timed dragon, and slay it. We absorb its soul, and suddenly discover we are the Chosen One, Dragonborn, a hero with the power of the Voice, destined to save the world from the apocalypse, which is naturally also a dragon. Not the strongest story, but at the end of the day, the joy of the Elder Scrolls series isn't found in the main quest story, so much as the world that it exists within. Skyrim is certainly the most mainstream, accessible version of the Elder Scrolls series to date, and while that came at the cost of some depth in its systems, its stories, and side quests, this world remains ripe with treasure to discover. These games possess a rich tapestry of history and lore discoverable through everything, from side quests from NPCs, books, and handwritten notes to ancient ruins you stumble across out in the world from civilizations past, themselves overflowing with their own lore. The length that these games go to build up the world and make it feel like you're really existing in this high fantasy realm remains unparalleled in the industry, and all of that is perfectly preserved in the Xbox 360 version. Skyrim is rendered at an ambitious 720p resolution, with a performance target of 30 FPS, and I must say it looks quite nice for an Xbox 360 title. And yes, we need that disclaimer. Normally I don't like to compare these against modern platforms, but since this game exists on every platform in existence across a decade-and-a-half time span, most people watching will have played it at a higher resolution with better graphical settings. And this version will inevitably feel like a downgrade if you're in that camp. Still, for an Xbox 360 title, and a game of this scope, no less, there's something really incredible on offer here. A grand, sprawling world. That mountain is not just a backdrop. You can walk all the way to the top of that mountain. Handled surprisingly well by the Xbox 360. Now, textures aren't great, character models aren't either, but come on, we have to give some grace here. The Xbox is trying its hardest, and it's doing a great job. Now, when we stop, collaborate, and listen, we can hear that the audio, unlike the visuals, didn't really suffer at all. This is the same chest-pounding, war cry chanting soundtrack you're used to hearing. Ambient world noise, sound effects, they're all fantastic here, and they do well to serve the player with a near unmatched level of immersion, something very few RPGs have touched before or since. While the gameplay and systems of Skyrim are a bit divisive, we aren't reviewing the game itself, but rather its presentation on the 360. The world remains open to you to explore and discover at your leisure after the opening sequence, and if you're like me, you can choose to ignore the main quest and just traverse the world indefinitely.
There is another thing you could do for me.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm gonna head out. The beauty of these games is that they don't have a defined loop, and the world truly is open to you for the most part. You can proceed with the main quest whenever you want, or not. You can explore any of the main faction quest lines at your leisure. Or not. There's a freedom here that is done in such a way that the world guides you but never pushes you, so it never feels so open that it's boring, but never even remotely too linear such that you feel trapped, exploring the world and discovering the hundreds of lovingly crafted little nooks and caves and ruins. It's fantastic, and despite some bugs in this 1.0 version, the experience remains fully intact in the original release. Combat, per the Elder Scrolls standard, is not overly complex, which is actually kind of good news playing on console. The game utilizes an action combat system where you can freely move and block, swing your sword, cast magic, all smoothly in real time. Except when it occasionally chugs a little bit with performance, but honestly it wasn't that bad. You can still pause in combat to chug potions, eat food, swap your equipped spells and whatnot, same as on PC. So there's not much sacrifice here on console. I think that was somewhat by design, and perhaps it lacks some sophistication of action games, with a bit more going on mechanically, but it's still fun and certainly highly accessible to anyone looking to pop this game in. Generally speaking, we did alright on performance, and that's saying something for a game of this size in this genre. When I've spent most of this review praising the breadth of world exploration and the size of the experience on offer, most would do well to brace themselves for the performance portion of this video, but no, we hold at 30 FPS fairly often, dipping only in intense combat scenes and the occasionally buggy spot, a Bethesda staple. I did install this game from the disc to the hard drive before playing, mind you, and you should as well. There were numerous reports that this helps with load times and stuttering both fairly significantly in this title, and would have otherwise been a much bigger problem. But yeah, I'm impressed. The game felt great to play, and I wasn't distracted by the limitations of the hardware, as is so often the case with these 7th gen games on original hardware. It just felt smooth. This game is perfectly playable, but flawed, and the version I'm playing was limited inherently in both features and performance by being the 1.0 version, as I didn't connect to the internet to patch it. That said, and all the memes and critiques you may have for Bethesda aside, this remains one of the finest RPGs ever made, and perhaps the grandest of adventures you can experience on the Xbox 360. And it'll help tide you over until they finally fucking release the Elder Scrolls V when we're entering retirement. Sorry, I'm back, we're good. Any collectors for the 360 should own this one. It was under $8 for me in the States to snag it on eBay, shipped. Please do consider subscribing also if you enjoyed this one, and thanks for sticking around if you made it this far. Check out the playlist below for more. Thanks.
I admit, I still don't much like the look of it.